So I've dealt with the Israel lobby throughout my career. I was the Middle East bureau chief for the New York Times. I spent 7 years in the Middle East, and AIPAC spent a lot of time trying to destroy my credibility and cast doubt on my reporting, especially on the Palestinians. So I'm very familiar with how the Israel lobby works, and we should be clear that the attacks on Corbyn, while he was accused of being an anti-Semite, that was weaponized not just by the Israel lobby, but by the intelligence community, the defense community, corporations. They did not want a Corbyn government in power. And the weapon that they seized was, of course, the one that was handed to them by the Israel lobby. But it wasn't just the Israel lobby that went after Corbyn. They were all in league to destroy him. And Corbyn, I think, reacted naively, which is essentially attempting to counter those charges by arguing that he wasn't an anti-Semite. And they didn't stop with Corbyn. They purged first the hierarchy of the Labour Party, and then, of course, the rank and file, all of those people who had essentially joined Labour to support Corbyn. And it didn't matter whether they were Jewish or not. And my sense is that Corbyn at the end kind of figured it out, but it was too late. So it was very effective, and we have to be clear, the media was complicit in amplifying those charges. So anytime Corbyn had an interview, he was getting hammered by the media about being an anti-Semite and put on the defensive. So it was the collusion of corporate forces, the military-industrial complex in the UK, the intelligence community, and the media, which all work together to essentially snuff Corbyn out. And that's the playbook. That's how they work. People talk about the Israel lobby without understanding that it has a very clear and very far-right ideological component. So I was in the Middle East, was in Israel covering Rabin's run for prime minister. And AIPAC was demonstrating outside of his house. Bibi Netanyahu at Likud was allowing his supporters to burn effigies of Rabin in a Nazi uniform. And then, of course, Rabin was assassinated, and Leah Rabin accused Bibi of killing her husband. So the Israel lobby doesn't represent Israel. It represents a far-right agenda that meshes perfectly with these other forces. And that's why they were determined to prevent Corbyn from becoming prime minister. And in the process, they gutted and destroyed the Labour Party itself. So now you have a Labour Party that's completely subservient, not just to the Israel lobby, but to all of those other interests. And I mean, it's very chilling because it's an indication that through the electoral process, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to confront these corporate forces that have seized control. I mean, countries like the UK or the United States ultimately don't have controls over their own economy. That's what's happened. And it raises questions about how we're going to effectively battle back. I mean, so I found the whole Corbyn campaign or the anti-Corbyn campaign chilling and frightening.